Welcome back to Rock Your Best Vocals. Jim here. Today we're going to dive into Freddie Mercury's voice on Somebody to Love. Over the time that I've listened to Freddie's voice, it's only become clear to me very recently what he was actually doing that I started applying to my voice, and I started to feel like I could sing a little bit better. Anyway, let's dive into this together and we'll listen to what he's doing. I'm going to give you my interpretation. It may be different than what you interpret, but that's great. Leave comments down below. So let's get into this. Also, if you want to join me on Patreon, there's a link down below, or become a member to the channel. There's a link down below for that. Very falsetto at the beginning, but he has a little bit of chest resonance at the end. Yeah, so he goes, ooh. Anyway, let's go on.
Each morning I get out, I die a little. Can barely stand on my feet.
Okay, so what do we notice about that? Sounds very breathy, doesn't it? I know that Freddie, I think probably he would even say this himself. Because he did comment about him having issues with his voice.
Most of the time, I actually misuse my voice because I now have these nodules on my vocal cords.
If you're using a lot of breath consistently, that can tend to dry out your vocal folds and can create a lot of friction with your vocal folds, which can lead to inflammation and, in worst cases, nodes, just like a little callus on your vocal fold, which you can lose some of your range then if that persists. It's not generally something that happens, but that can happen from too much air. But he is using quite a bit of air on this.
Take a look in the mirror and cry.
So you said, take a look in the mirror and cry. But he is doing something else that counteracts that. He is coming in with a very clean vocal fold closure on the end of the notes. So he's starting off breathy, but he's ending up with a bright vocal fold closure at the end, which is lovely. I mean, it just gives that extra color to it.
Can barely stand on my feet.
On that, can't barely stand on my feet. He adds a little bit of grit in there as well, because he's adding a little bit of that vocal fold closure, just bringing them a little bit tighter together, not slamming them together, not pushing them, just light.
Take a look in the mirror and cry.
If you listen to what he's doing there, he's what's called leaning the breath against the vocal folds. With that bright vocal fold closure, we start in that head voice. Take a look in the mirror and cry. So there's that for me is a very light vocal fold closure, and I can lean the breath up against that. I'm not really pushing the air out. For me, it's more like the kind of sense of like a bagpipe or something. When you hear a bagpipe, the sound of that, and then there's this kind of steady compression on the bag to make the sound come out. And for me, that's kind of the feeling that I get when I'm doing that, sort of leaning to get the breath against the vocal fold. It's not really a forceful, it's kind of a gentle, uplifting, kind of just putting the wind in the sail of the boat and leaning against that. So let's move on.
Lord, what you doing to me? I have spent all my years in believing you, but I just can't get no relief. Lord,
So that great vocal fold closure at the end of that. But this one part's kind of interesting. You can hear him almost like spitting like into the mic. Listen.
I have spent all my years.
I spent all my. Freddie was just so expressive with his voice. Just such an artist, like an amazing, expressive talent.
But I just can't get no relief, Lord.
So if we try that, just can't get no relief, Lord. If you start with this light vocal fold closure, you finish the note the way you start it. So if I started that off, I just can't get no relief, Lord. You can hear how cleansed up that is. Like I could get by singing like that. A lot of people will go, oh, he's fine. Just can't get no relief, Lord. But there's a lot of strain in there, and there's not a lot of resonance. It's important to have the resonance because resonance will save you over sheer pushing every time.
Somebody, ooh, somebody, can anybody find me somebody to love?
So in that, just the breathiness of it is contrasted with the clean vocal fold closure.
And get no relief, Lord, somebody.
Somebody. There's just a lot of breath. Somebody. I mean, and that's like, I can feel that. Like, I'm pushing a lot of breath through my vocal folds.
Can anybody find me
It's important to start that off light. Can anybody find me? It's also important to have like a nice wide open cavity at the back, the pharyngeal space. Like, I think a lot of great singers just have that naturally. Someone like myself, I really have to focus on that to like make my throat open.
Somebody to love. Yeah.
Like breathy. Yeah.
I work hard every day of my life. I work till I ache my bones. At the end, I take home my heart and pay all on my own.
Ooh, you can hear that plosive on that. I take home my heart and pay. But let's go back to this part because this is really beautiful.
At the end, I take home my heart and pay all on my own.
It just really gets a little bit of grit in there. And it's important when approaching that grit to keep the grit up here above the vocal folds, to keep the pressure above the vocal folds rather than below. When people talk about compression, and I've talked about this too, kind of lifting something heavy, and you go, oh, like that. That is what's called subglottal pressure. The pressure's down here. It's below my vocal folds. So if I'm adding pressure below the vocal, I'm stopping the breath below the vocal folds, then the airflow can't go through the vocal folds nice and easy. But if I compress the air above the vocal folds, I'll get a really nice distortion similar to what Freddie's doing here.
The end, I take home my heart and pay all on my own.
That distortion is up here. That comes from adding a little bit of constriction up here. I take home my heart and pay all on my own. It's very light. It's very easy because I'm allowing the breath to come up through the vocal folds first before I start to add any compression on it.
Down on my knees and I start to pray till the tears run down from my eyes. Lord, somebody, ooh, somebody, can anybody find me somebody to love?
Whoa. You can hear all the breaths that he's taking in, those little quick breaths, making sure he's enough breath to sing through the line. He's not like gasping for breath like he's down at the end of his air. But listen.
Somebody, can anybody find me somebody to love?
Nice quick breath. Somebody. Just making sure he's topped up.
Anybody find me somebody to love?
Listen to that big. See, he was down there below that. That big long note. And just with the distortion that's in there, it is so light. Listen to the brightness of his voice.
Somebody to love.
So with that, we want to start off light. You listen to the brightness in that. Love. So if you can't do that note clean, you really don't have any business trying to put distortion on the thing first, because a lot of times when we try to start with distortion, we're just putting too much tension, right? So make sure you can do that note really light and clean first. Love. stove before you add in the distortion. Start off light, clean, and then kind of lift into it. We want to use our I use the term puke muscles, right? Like that's the kind of sensation if I'm lifted. A slow puke, a slow, gentle, sort of romantic puke. This slow, steady stream of air. Let's move on.
Every day I try, but everybody wants to put me down. They say I'm gone crazy. They say I got a lot of water in my brain. I got no common sense. I got nobody left to believe.
Oof. Listen to the brightness in his voice that's there. Yeah, there's distortion in there, but the underlying sound is the brightness.
They say I got a lot of water in my brain.
They say I got a lot of water in my brain. They say I got that's that bright vocal fold closure. They say I got a lot of water in my brain. Has to start off like kind of that brightness.
Every day I try, but everybody wants to put me down.
So try this. That's the kind of tone we want under it. It's very important. Then you add in the distortion on the top.
Ooh, somebody, ooh, anybody find me somebody to love.
So expressive. Oh my God. It's the flamboyance, the pure emotion coming out.
Somebody to love.
Oh, it's just the way he meanders down to that. So playful. That's one of the things that made Freddie so great, is he put all the passion and the feeling and the emotion in the voice.
I ain't gonna face nor defeat.
That vibrato. Feed! He had just that distinct vibrato that we'd know it's Freddie no matter what.
Got no feel, I got no rhythm.
So when I got no feel, I got no rhythm. He kind of starts a little breathy, moves into the bright vocal fold closure for the emotion, right? The crescendo of the phrase, and then backs off.
Got no feel, I got no rhythm. I just keep losing my beat. I'm okay, I'm alright. I ain't gonna face nor defeat. I just gotta get out of this prison cell. Someday I'm gonna be free.
There's a lot to unpack on that part where he's kind of dipping in and out of vocal fold closure. It's incredible.
I ain't gonna face nor defeat.
So when you take that breath in, that kind of deep gasping breath, opens the throat, lets your vocal folds, everything gets out of the way so your vocal folds are nice and bright. Raise the soft palate. I ain't gonna face no defeat. It's just so much easier to sing when you have that open throat and your bright vocal fold closure and you're leaning against that. It's just, it's a game changer when you start to learn to sing like that. Leaning the breath against the bright vocal fold closure is just, it's been a game changer for me. So anyway, let's move on.
I just gotta get out of this prison cell. Someday I'm gonna be free.
When you're doing falsetto, another helpful tip for you using falsetto is to try and use as little air as possible. A lot of times, especially when you're going higher, people will tend to blow more air. And when you blow more air through your vocal folds, you're just drying them out and causing them to flap a lot more. And you don't get as bright of a vocal fold closure. But if you hold the air back, you can find that you will get higher with less effort. by just backing off the air. There's like very little air going through my vocal folds. It's just easy to get up there in that range without kind of forcing and pushing and drying out my vocal folds.
Find me somebody. Ooh, can anybody find me?
Oh, the way he backs off that. Ooh, can anybody find me? Oh, the way this is so. He's just so good with emotion and controlling his voice to match the emotion of the song. This end bit is incredible. Like this scatting that he does is just so like, it's so fun. It's so playful. Like it's just something that like you have to listen.
Find me somebody, 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 somebody to love.
Sounds kind of like a little bit of a kind of a drunky kind of a somebody. He's just kind of like just playful, you know. It's incredible.
Find me, find me, find me, find me, find me. Ooh, somebody to love.
You could hear how he went breathy and then closed the vocal folds just at the end. Ooh, to get it a little bit brighter, a bit more resonance in it. Beautiful.
Find me somebody to love. Anybody, anywhere, anybody, find me somebody to love. Love, oh, oh, oh. Find me, find me, find me, find me.
Wow, that was incredible. Oh, I'm so glad we got to do that deep dive on Freddie's voice and just hear the brightness in his voice is so important. Yes, he did use a lot of breath a lot of times, maybe too much, maybe that to his detriment. But the way he could go in and out, he had so much control over his voice just throughout his whole range. It's just incredible to listen to and to try and understand what he's doing so we can use that to try and help with our own voice and figure out how we can change things with our own voice to maybe sing a little bit better. And that's what I'm always trying to do, is sing better, more efficiently and easier, and just to enjoy singing more. So let me know if that helped you in the comments below. Again, join me on Patreon or become a member of the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Rock your best vocals where your best keeps getting better.